Hello everyone, it is Mr. Miller here. So today, this video, we're talking about the history of Vietnam as a country. So if you see here by this map, Vietnam is this tiny little country. It looks kind of like a really weird looking S, and it's in the middle of the Pacific. Well, it's not in the middle. It's near the Pacific Ocean. It's next to China, Cambodia, Thailand, and the Philippines. So our story takes place in Vietnam, and it's about the Vietnam War. So it's really hard to describe something unless you see it for yourself. So I'm going to do my very best so you can kind of understand the very basic history of it as well. So Vietnam is a tiny country, which I talked about in Southeast Asia. There's not that many people that live in the country. It's right next to the Pacific Ocean, just like I talked about. The country is made up of different biomes, just like with any country. You know how diverse the United States is. It's not that diverse in regards to landscapes, but it does have a lot of mountains, highlands, and jungle. So here's a picture of what Vietnam looks like, and I got a few more for you. It is hard to travel through the country because of the mountains and the thickness of the jungles. So there aren't that many towns. There's like a town, and then there's either mountains or there is jungle. And to get from one to the other requires some kind of, a long trek or trip. And even today in 2020, it's still a very, very, very mountainous and jungle area. So it's hard to get around. Here's some more pictures of it. I personally think it's beautiful. I wouldn't want to live here though, because it's really, really buggy and like there's a lot of mosquitoes and other creepy crawlies I don't want to deal with. But anyway, Vietnam is a small country, and because it's been small and has a small population, there have been different groups of people that have invaded Vietnam for many different reasons, and some were very successful and some were not. So the first time the country of Vietnam was actually invaded was in the 1300s. So like this is way before Christopher Columbus like thought about leaving to go look for what would be the United States and Americas. This was a long time ago. So this was when this giant empire from China, the Mongol Empire, tried to invade the country three times. Each invasions, the Mongols lost. It shouldn't say they, it should say the. Let me fix that really quick. All right, there we go. And in 1884, France did conquer Vietnam and controlled the country until 1954. So they were successful in conquering Vietnam. And it's just because they had superior weapons and stuff like that. Whereas in the 1300s, they didn't really have guns; they just had numbers. And because of how thick the jungles were, and how mountainy things were, the Mongols had a hard time. It didn't apply to France because they had like cannons and guns, and the Vietnamese were very much outnumbered. During World War II, the Japanese would invade Vietnam and try to take the country from the French. The people of Vietnam would fight for the French and push the Japanese out of the country, which we'll talk about in another video. And it created a lot of hard feelings between the French and the Vietnamese because the French were like, well, thanks for saving us, but you can't be your own country. And that's what would cause like this communist revolution, which we'll talk about in a little bit. In 1973, actually, America would invade the country to stop communism. And that didn't pan out very well for America. So the only country to really do well was France. And even they, after 1954, were kicked out of the country. So the reasons why um, Vietnam is so hard to invade is because of the terrain. It's just so hard to go through those jungles and through the mountains. It's just hard to get through. And also, the country of Vietnam, the people there have always been fighting, it seems like, wars over and over again. Like people have been invading their country, so they know how to defend themselves very, very well. So that is kind of why Vietnam has never really been invaded and like consistently been invaded by one person outside or one group of people outside of France. Thank you for watching.